Okay, great. Everybody, hello, hello. I'm freezing here in Connecticut. I just want you to know that. But actually, in my office, it's awfully stuffy, so we're okay. If you intended to come to the Improving Library Website Usability with AI session, you're in the right place. If not, feel free to hang out or feel free to get going if you'd like. I want to thank our moderator, Shannon, who will be here to collect your questions throughout the presentation. And I'm going to go really fast in hopes that I make it through these slides, but just wanted to remind you, currently your audio and video are turned off. Please don't play with them right now because otherwise it'll interrupt me in the recording. Please feel free to click on chat to connect and use your hashtags, #library 2024 or #AI and libraries, all one word. I did post a link to this, but it was way back there, wasn't it? Hold on a sec. There we go. Perfect. All right. Thank you for the reminder. Okay, so there's a link to the slides, and you'll also get them at the end of the conference. You'll get links to everybody's slides. So, all right. So I did start the recording. I wanted to also say thank you to San Jose State University School of Information and the Future of AI. Big thanks to the Library 2.0 crew. They've done a great job. I took their mini library AI boot camp last, I want to say May or June, and it was great. So, all right, improving library website usability with AI. So, wanted to give you a little overview of what I thought we would cover today, or what we'll try to cover today. I don't know that we'll have enough time, and so I'm going to give you some context for the presentation so you understand the limitations of what I'm going to talk to you about. And we're going to talk about ways that librarians may use AI to improve library website usability. I'm going to mention the library chatbots because apparently all the chatbots want me to talk about that. And we're going to talk about using AI to support the user research process, to generate user personas and stories, and some of the limitations and interesting things I found out about that. Also, some interesting things with trying to test navigation, information architecture, and so forth and so on. So first of all, I wanted to say that I had a lot of hubris in putting this presentation together because, I didn't find a lot of literature on this matter. I'm sure it's out there, but I really tried and I couldn't get too much out of it. In fact, I was finding a dearth of research on how designers and how UX designers themselves work with AI. There are one or two like integrative or systematic review studies that talk about the studies that are out there, but they all say that there needs to be a lot more research. So AI is a big tent. If you've been to any of the other presentations or you're AI enthusiasts, or maybe you have way more experience than I do, you know that there's lots of different flavors of this. And mostly in this presentation, I'm going to be talking about experiments I had in trying to use AI tools that were generative AI based on large language models such as ChatGPT, now Google's Gemini. I did use Perplexity, but I didn't put any of that in this presentation. And should I even be doing this? Well, I don't know. I had two motivations. One is that I do a lot of library website work and we need a lot of work on it, and we need a lot of work on our usability. And also I'll be co-teaching an introduction to research with AI course that is an information literacy framework for AI this fall, co-teaching it with one of my information literacy specialists. And so I thought I just need more time, as they say, so to speak, in the saddle, more experience, more and more uses to see where its edges are. And I really found a bunch of these things. So my background, so you know my limitations and my context. Like most librarians, I do a little bit of everything. I'm not really I'm definitely not a designer. I'm sort of, I would consider myself like a junior level developer. UX researcher, yeah, I do that, but it's not my specialty. I was really interested in the uses of AI in libraries. I've been a technologist, I've been a systems librarian, and then a web librarian for a long time. And I went to the Idea Institute at UT Austin a couple summers ago, and it was great, and it was super exciting. And I saw how much was going to happen, sort of, except that I didn't anticipate the whole ChatGPT thing. So it became quite the thing. And I didn't know about prompt engineering until last year either. So anyway, when I share these case studies with you, my experiments, you might actually find that you do better. So based on the prompts that I'm doing, you could probably refine them and get better results. But your results may vary. Please share your experiences with each other, because I think this is the only way we're going to try and keep up with the speed with which AI is moving. So the problems with AI, I'm not really going to, oh, good. I got a great question in there. Sorry, I was supposed to do questions at the end, but Jennifer's asking, web design could follow rules. Anyone tried to ask AI to review a web page based on the rules? I have tried with some of these, but we'll go over that. All the problems with AI, biases, inaccuracies, hallucinations. Some of these you'll see, some of them I'm not going to touch on, the ethics and the intellectual property and the privacy. We know about them, and the environmental issues. But basically, the whole thing comes down to trust but verify, right? So of course, back in February, I asked ChatGPT for what are uses, AI uses for improving, library website usability? And it says, chatbots. So that's why I'm going to cover library chatbots. And it's going to and talk about accessibility enhancements, content generation, predictive search, and autocomplete. I'm not going to cover search engines because, frankly, that's way out of my scale. And hopefully, our vendors will be coming up with some really interesting things where they will integrate with some of those cool new AI research tools. That would be great. User personas and customer journey maps and that type of thing. But in terms of AI library chatbots, I would love to hear how many people out there, like, you can put in chat if you're using an AI library chatbot and what it's based on. Like, are you using the SpringShare one? Just a reminder, people have been talking about using chatbots in the library a really long time, and it even seemed to come to some maturity in the like in 2011, they're writing chatbots in the library. Is it time, And these intelligent conversational agents, so-called intelligent, some of them are the rules-based ones. And the SpringShare's new, yes, okay, somebody's got the SpringShare rule-based bot. It'd be interesting to hear your experiences. So that, and then there is a basic process that I'm sharing with you about supposedly how to create your own custom GPT, which I didn't follow this, but I did create a couple of custom GPTs that you'll see. Somebody's developing a LibChat chatbot. Has anybody used Dialogflow, the Google sort of cloud product? And somebody's piloting third party. This is great. Keep sharing this stuff. So obviously, one of the things that we need is to have data, right? In order to improve our library websites or our library web pages, whatever we have, we need to be getting information from our users about how useful it really is. So surveys, interviews, usage data. If you don't have any of these things yet, you're going to need to start to gather this information, and then we'll talk about how you work with it. But this is one of the things, and this is one of the ideas that that the chatbot came up with. And in the meantime, I was looking at that SUS, which is it's used by UX designers heavily for UX evaluation, particularly of websites. And I have a link there of an explanation of it and a reference to it as well. And it seems to be a pretty good scale that's pretty well proven over the past 10 or 20 years in helping you to understand users' reaction to your library's website or digital interfaces. So one of the things that I enjoyed doing was working with Cascade AI. As you may be aware, one of the big things about like a library website redesign, like we're undergoing, or any of the user research events and projects that you have to put together, those themselves require some project management and breakdowns. And I'm not the best at breaking things down, so I did appreciate that Cascade has some templates in it, and they had a best practice, best UI UX practices checklist built into their AI. And that task management second brain system is freemium, so you can get a free account to start off with. And obviously, if you want to do any of the really cool things, probably share with other people. You probably then have to pay, but I'm not doing that. as you can see, it also does some nice visualization. You can make Kanban boards and so forth. So we talk about library website usability improvement, and here's a process that they suggest. You need your user personas, and you need to analyze your feedback, and then go through the implementing of improvements, doing usability tests and refine and launch, that type of thing. So the first thing that I wanted to do, now we have never created user personas here. We've talked about it, but we've never actually done it. And that just seems like one of those things that goes by the wayside. So I thought, well, okay, maybe we could ask ChatGPT to help us out with this. And so I asked it to generate 3 user personas for CCSU's library. And it's interesting because this is where we start seeing the edges of the model, what it sees, based on what it's ingested in terms of the web. So it came up with these 3 personas, and then I asked it to generate images as well as, the ChatGPT 4. You have the premium, can now generate images. So here's what it came up with. Came up with undergraduate student Sophia, so the young female university student. And, I take a look at this and I go, okay, all 3 of these people are, of course, not people of color. The young woman they feature as the image that they've generated, of course, seems very feminine in her outward appearance. And the graduate student and the faculty member are both male, and they both happen to kind of look like the same guy, but that doesn't really matter. Anyway, so I asked it to try again to add on to this and said, could you add a genderqueer persona and add their image? And yes, so we're seeing some of the bias, and I do feel a little weird about some of these things that it comes back with, because not being from some of these communities, you would really have to touch base with people in the community and make sure that this is not truly offensive. And then, of course, then we asked for people of color, and we asked for our institution is not currently a Hispanic serving institution, but it's headed that direction. And certainly we have a lot of students here at Central Connecticut State University who are sort of like, a lot of their family is from Puerto Rico, and a lot of them came from Puerto Rico during Hurricane Maria, took refuge here. A lot of them came to school here. So that's a strong population for us. So in reading the personas and the user stories, and I don't know about the images, but reading the personas and the user stories, I thought to myself, I don't know how, in some ways it seems a little bit offensive, the assumption that Luis's primary issue is going to be, language, but maybe it is, I don't know. But anyway, just keep this in mind. This is one of the great things we find out about LLMs is they're, outputting some interesting stereotypes. So we're gonna have to work with other people to make sure that that's okay. So customer user journey mapping. If anyone's done a customer user journey map, please let us know, because I don't know how many libraries have done this. I know that Darlene Fichter and Jeff Wisniewski put out a really nice article that was pretty quick and easy to get through on tackling the omnichannel experience with customer journey mapping in 2017 for Information Today. And in each one of these slides, I'm including a shared version of the chat that I had with ChatGPT, so you can see how my prompts look and what it came up with as a result. So basically, what's neat about the customer journey map, if you haven't done it yet, is that it allows you to take, and again, you better check your personas first, but then, like, let's say your persona, and start to map their interactions with the library and sort of what levels at which you might be losing them. Is it that you haven't even gotten them past the key phase of awareness? Or is it that they've come in and explored, but then they haven't gone any further with the library? And so basically, I just asked ChatGPT to give me some information on how to create this user journey mapping, and also what tools to use. It is what it is. Usability testing. Probably everybody's done some of that, but if you haven't yet, you could ask ChatGPT or one of these, Gemini, to come up, one of these generative AI, to come up with some sample tasks for your library's website. But I just want to point out that there's a great compiled spreadsheet out there, Google Sheet. I don't know how up to date it is these days, but it used to be great, and I still think the tasks kind of work. And So take a look at that Google Doc, that Google Sheet, and you'll find a list of different tasks that different libraries are testing with. And it might be instructive for you if you're sort of conducting user testing for the first time. So one of the things that is useful about even the generative AI, it's seen, is that you can use it at some level to analyze your user feedback. So for example, well, you can use like Whisper AI in order to transcribe audio. So transcribing audio and videos, getting the transcripts out and then finding highlights within it. Really challenging problem for a human being, very time consuming, I should say. And here with the GPTs or with some of these AI, it's a lot easier for those models to handle it. So one of the prompts that I've used a lot pretty effectively in the past few months is, please allow me to feed information from such and such. Please read it and then let me know when you're done by saying done. And then let's have a conversation about it. And that way you're stepping the AI through the process and then you're chaining together your queries. So I did that with, we had a report from our CCSU marketing students about the libraries, about students' interactions with the libraries and students' awareness of the library, all that type of thing. And so, so I asked it to also then come up with sort of the highlights of the recommended enhancements. Yes, I can share the presentation, and I think that's it right there. Take a look. And I asked it to come up with metrics also. How can we see if what we've done meets the needs, like, and here it's saying, well, if you have so it's asking for a how-to guide section on our library website. And then it's saying that the way you would measure your success there is to see the increase in page views for the guide section, reduction in basic inquiries to the librarians, user feedback on usefulness, that type of thing. So one of the things that I've been really interested in is improving our navigation. So using AI for information architecture. I tried doing this a bunch of ways, and as you see, I get in an argument with Google Gemini over all of this. So I asked it to create a sitemap of what it thought an academic library website should look like. And it was interesting, and I thought it was kind of a nice check. I don't know that the phrasing is exactly the phrasing that you would use. But it is really, if you're really swamped with ideas or you don't even know where to begin, you're overwhelmed, ideating with AI, generative AI like this is kind of interesting. So I also asked it to take a look at our specific navigational structure. So I created a custom GPT on GPT-4 and asked it to, use the heuristics of Jacob Nielsen, to use the sort of common accessibility and common guidelines that are out there, like W3C for or WCAG for accessibility assessments and so forth. Anyway, I asked to go through and take a look at our website, but I'm not confident that it's really doing a good job of providing us with a real quality output, really suggesting what we need to do there. So that was interesting. And then one of the things that, because I said I'm very interested in improving navigation and information architecture, one of the things that I wanted to do was take our existing navigation bar and sort of parse it into, like, I really wanted to create a card sort, but without doing as much manual work as you sometimes do. If you've never done a card sort before, it's a great way to have users group information by concept. And so what you can do is you create these. So Sam is asking, was the custom GPT able to go through the website? That's my big question, because I did have to activate, and the way you get the custom GPT to activate its ability to go out on the live web is you say, I need to add this functionality to my custom GPT. It needs to be able to go out to the live web and check things. But I'm still not confident that it's totally basing its assessment on our website. So I got to do a bunch more experimentation to see if that custom GPT is really doing what I think it's doing. So, but it is the question, isn't it? We really wanted to take a look at our website and assess our shortcomings and gaps. So the card sorting is a great way to get a feel for what you want in your navigation menu, how to group things, how to label things according to user expectations. But card sorting is a kind of time-intensive process, and really what I wanted to do was I wanted to automatically create cards. And I remember way back a zillion years ago, I had some fancy Excel spreadsheet where automatically created cards for me based on the website navigation. I thought, okay, well, I don't know how to do that anymore, and I don't want to pay for card sort or any of these for fee products. But can I just in Google Sheets have a list of all of my navigational bar links and the wording that's used within them? Well, then Gemini and I get into a little bit of a shouting match because I and I think that this is why this went wrong, this interaction. I asked it to take the nav bar, and I went into the source code of our nav bar, and I just copied the HTML. And it really is nice and structural, so it shouldn't be a problem for it to parse through it and say, okay, this is an unordered list with list items, and there's a link here, and here's what people are clicking on to, here's the wording of what they're clicking on to get to that link. So I don't know why it was having such a problem. But I did start the whole conversation by claiming I was a junior developer. I didn't give it the role of a senior developer that would do some work for me. So I don't know if it was putting the work back on my shoulders because it wanted me to learn. That would be weird. But anyway, we went back and forth quite a bit, and it kept saying that it couldn't parse through the HTML. And I'm like, why can't you turn the HTML into a list? And so it said, well, I need more context. And I said, no, you don't need to understand context here. I'm giving you a piece of HTML that indicates a hyperlink, and the labeling that the human sees that they click on, well, I didn't even spell that correctly. It's now brain surgery to see that if I offer several HTML encoded links like, and I have the li and so forth, you could easily output them as a simple human readable table of two columns saying the URL and link label. Am I misunderstanding something? Why would you not be able to do this? So I was a little teed off at Gemini, and Gemini was probably equally teed off at me. And therefore, finally, in response to this part of the prompt, it did output what I wanted. Another weirdness was, however, that it stripped out the Google Maps URL. And so I asked it, like, why are you stripping out the Google Maps URL? It's a valid, and it said it's not a valid link. And I said, it is a valid link. I said, and so I warned it that it was going to be a weird looking URL because it has some geolocation information in it. And I even gave it exactly what it was going to be, and it still couldn't do it. So I don't know. I don't know what's going on there. But ways you can use AI for more fun things like sort of inspiration is I always kind of want to know what the most exemplary library websites are. Not that I think I'm going to be able to get us there, but certainly so that we can see what we can aspire to and try and copy some of those things. So I asked ChatGPT to come up with exemplary academic library websites, and I asked it to tell me why it thought they were exemplary. So MIT libraries, Stanford University libraries, University of Michigan library, Harvard library, University of Oxford libraries. By the way, before I did this particular session, I did one on where I didn't describe it as academic libraries. I just said libraries, and it gave me New York Public Library and some things like that. And then I wanted to like narrow it down. So anyway, it gave me a list of things to emulate. I think that's kind of cool. And I think I would like to do an analysis of their navigation and see what terminology they're using for things like, is it about or about us? Are they using staff director? Are they using the word databases? How are we referring to things that seems to be effective? So anyway, I thought that was kind of cool. Some other ways that you might be able to use it for design is, of course, you've probably seen in Canva and almost every tool nowadays, there's like magic AI creation tools. And then, of course, there's image creation and more of the premium and more of the premium chat GPTs and so forth now. There are those text to video creation tools. I have never tried them. If someone has tried them, please let us know and let us know if it was any good. And then the website generators, yes, you could generate a whole website according to according to Wix. Somebody says we know why web designers won't go away tomorrow. It is true that you have to know enough to push back at these models. It's really interesting. So I just wanted to, I found another custom GPT out there. You can explore all the custom GPTs that have been made and try and use them for yourself. One of them was called Screenshot to Code GPT. And really what I wanted to do was I wanted to take our newly redesigned CCSU University website, and I wanted to get the same look and feel for the library's websites and LibGuides and so forth. So I wanted to take that screenshot and then have it turn into code. So I did that. And of course, then I put it on CodePen. And then in my testing of it, of course, it's not quite as expected. It's missing, you know, some key navigational pieces here. So anyway, it's a start, but there's a lot more work to be done. Using AI for code improvements. Like I say, I don't code nearly enough to be really good at it. I'm dangerous, but no. I do know that the click here, if you're using click here as the basis of your hyperlinks, don't do that. It's not accessible. What you want to do is you want to make sure that you've got like some sort of active verb or some sort of active phrase that describes what they will be doing, like you know, create an account, sign in, or something like that. That's what you want your link to say. You don't want it to say click here. So I had this sample from our Iliad interface where I was like, okay, we need to get rid of this click here link. So how would the chat GPT handle the coding of this? Because it's a very simple thing. And then I asked it to put it in the form, to style it in the form of a button, and then a button that has like a tooltip and stuff. So, and then I put it into the CodePen. And it did take a lot of back and forth with Chat GPT. It was weird. Just to get it to put its style sheets, it's styled separately in a separate style sheet. It kept putting inline, and then I would have to go back to it and say, no, don't do that. Like, make sure that it doesn't have that. And make sure the labeling is better. And what do you think the labeling should be, and so forth and so on. So there's a lot of things that we still have to know to make these things work the way we want them to. Using AI to improve analysis for usage data. So one of the things that I've long been fascinated by is Google Analytics. You know how there's like sales conversion funnels, and there's the idea of getting people to the product, right? And then making the sale happen. And it's in examining that process, like Google Analytics does a really good job, and I assume Matomo does as well, of sort of seeing the path that people take and where they drop off, right? I've never figured out what the funnel for conversion is for libraries, you know. So I asked it to come up with a list of what it thought the funnel and the metrics would be for success for our users. And so in one of the examples, I gave it like a first year undergraduate who doesn't have much experience with the library. And they thought, and what ChatGPT came back with was like, are they able to get to the booking? And then later in the conversation, I asked it to be clear about the metrics that you would then use. And it would be, did they get to the booking page? And did they click on the booking, you know, on the book a study room, or whatever it is that is the confirmation for that. So anyway, I thought this was helpful to see an idea of what might be a good funnel for Google Analytics, and I can go back to our analytics and try and make more goals and conversions and so forth. So the real issue for me was I really, really want something to go out. It's because I'm not much of a designer. I would really love it if we could have a GPT go out, take a look at websites and say, all right, this is attractive and here's why, and this is good and here's why, this is functional and here's why, and so forth and so on. So I created something that I called Website Usability Tester. And after I made this, you're quite welcome. After I made this, I thought it was doing really good. And I was like, oh, this is great. And then I asked it to analyze the San Jose State University has this great opportunity for you to get your library's website or any of its digital interfaces probably usability tested, and let me know afterwards if for some reason you want a referral to that. But I know University of Michigan does this as well. So if you hook up with their iSchools, a lot of times they run usability class and the students have to do projects. And so we had SJSU students do a project assessing our library website. And so then I asked this, website usability tester to go out to where this report was. They had published it in the form of a website, and then to summarize the key points in it. And oh, that's nice, Eric. I like this. So, but what it did was it came back with these really generic suggestions, as it often does, and it wasn't based on what the students had written, because I was pretty darn sure that it didn't say anything about site usability and speed of loading. I was pretty sure they didn't get into that. And sure enough, I couldn't find it anywhere in the report, but it's one of the things that my website usability tester claimed was an issue. Yeah. So it's just pulling it from like sort of these generic ideas of what would be good for library, for website performance generally. So that's great. Anyway, I'm just going to give you a list of some of the tools I used here. And I have so many questions after doing some of these experiments. And I think we need to do a lot more. I wish I had answers or explanations for some of these things. I think somebody else has said it before me who's much deeper in AI, and they said AI is just weird, especially generative AI based on LLMs. Is it a parlor, the tools used slide? Absolutely. Yeah, I didn't put too many. Oh, sorry. Let me get you back there. It's fractally weird. Yes, it's very odd. It's just very odd. And I can't tell, is it like some sort of parlor trick? Is it just, all right, now Gemini is telling me that, I can make my slides pop with AI. So that's fabulous. So basically, I'm going to leave you the tools used slide for a little bit. But yeah, no, you can't not use it. Here's the problem. Like, much as I don't love that we're feeding the beast, I don't see any way around us getting better at understanding its edges. And that's actually one of the reasons I did this, was I wanted to see if there was ways I could use it in the work that I'm supposed to be doing that would help me better understand the edges of the large language models and the generative AI. So that's really why I sort of put these things together. Yeah, so it's very strange. And I can't tell, AI can sometimes, in these conversational chatbots, can sometimes seem very obsequious and very supportive, and like it wants you to leave the session feeling good. Even if it's inaccurate, you feel good, right? And I can't tell, is it like it's programmed, or its guardrails to be like friendly to humans? But then I get in these arguments with things like Gemini, and I'm like, okay, well, maybe it doesn't really care. Maybe it's like, whatever, we're not going to do this. Um, I really couldn't tell you. I don't know if they're going to come take over the world. I don't know if it's AGI. I can't tell you. But I do know that we as librarians have to really pay attention to this, because this is dominating our information ecosystem, dominating it. It's contaminating it, perhaps. We don't know. Probably contaminating it. We pretty much know that. Anyway, do push back on the AI. And I'm glad it's been fascinating for some of you. Feel free to reach out to me, especially if you're doing some of your own experiments, or if you want to build off of my prompts. I'd love to hear how you're doing. If anybody has any questions that I might be able to answer, let me know. If not, you can also buzz me later at sclapp@ccsu.edu, and I will absolutely try to remember to get back to you. I really need that AI to be my second brain. That's what I need. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you all for taking your time. I hope it's useful. All right, I'm going to put the slides one more time, the link to the slides one more time in the chat for those who missed it. And you will get it on the Library 2.024 AI and Libraries website as well. You'll get a copy of the session and a copy of the slides, if I understand it. All right. Thank you. Thank you all. Have a very good day and stay warm. If you do have questions, I'll stick around for a few minutes. Oh, CCSU alum, fabulous. Oh, and you're at UConn, great. How are things up in stores? Yeah, yeah, it's cold here in Connecticut today. There is a cold wind blowing, that's for sure. I was so shocked to wake up and look on my deck and there was this coating of snow. I said, what? And I hope it was insightful. It's so interesting to play with these things. Oh, great, Jason. Don't forget to keep in touch. I'd be interested to hear, like I say, the only way we're gonna be able to keep up with this is to work together. It's just too much. Great. Great to hear. All right, I guess I turn off the recording. Here we go.